god! Check it out! Look what I got!
Intro.
It's right here.
Intro.
It's time for
No, it doesn't.
Ooh! Welcome to Murder Moose, episode 111, brought to you by Slash and Cast, the greatest podcast network in the game. Oh wait,
It's in the game.
I said I put it in there. I put our tagline right in the tagline. What did I do? I fucked it up. Oh, whatever. Hey,
You've lost.
Rod,
you've
I
lost your
fucking
mind,
love
Josh.
you. Kin's back. This is like, okay. We just had this mild discussion. How do we call her a guest anymore? If she's,
she's basically the third mic
I've
now.
just
and
wormed my way in, okay?
No, you're you know multiple things, Kin. One, we were talking about this. You match our fucking ADHD, which is an
the
impressive feat.
energy.
Yeah, goes to that. Two,
Yes.
it's always good to have diverse opinions, right? Like in different perspectives. So having a cool chick in our into horror, also helps. So it's like it's multiple things, but you're fucking awesome, and I've loved you since I've met you. So it's like you're like it's just gonna be you're not even featuring anymore. It's just continue. So like,
And it's and she's a horror guru too. So if you've heard it anywhere else that she isn't, horror guru.
Ken just self-confessed doesn't know anything about horror, but that's a second.
So good. That's right. I know things.
Oh fuck.
Ken drinks and she knows things. She's like Tywin Lannister or Tyrion Lannister, but like about horror, doesn't know things. I don't fucking know, man. It's been chaos, dude. I have been bouncing out the wall because I got attacked by a crazy person on PlayStation Network earlier tonight when I was streaming, and then like everybody's going around. Josh has raisins now, and Ken is. It's a weird. It sounds like we've all had interesting days, man. Interesting days, but
It's
how
been
the
great.
fuck are you guys? Yes,
It's been great. I'm fucking happy. Just happy. Like so happy.
Josh is happy and he knows it. Clap his hands. Ooh, daddy. Ooh.
No.
No. We're here, and yes, we are back. But we are talking today about a cool movie called The Editor. But
This is one of those things. Like anything to do with because I'm Canadian. It's just a thing. But I know these Canadian movies, and there's like I don't know, a couple handfuls of movies that it's just like, no, shut up and listen to me for 1 second. These are the movies you have to see. They're Canadian, but they're fucking so good. Astron 6 makes these really bubbly, comedic, well-produced, like, horror movies in the comedy genre. And anything that Brooks is in with, like, Psycho Goreman, like, he's right beside it. Psycho Goreman's right beside his buddy. And, like,
dude,
it's too good.
So, Ken, you've not watched Psycho Goreman yet, right?
Not yet.
So, if you're officially a part of the show, you're required by the Murder Moose law to watch Psycho Goreman.
Okay, fair.
1, 2. The main character of the Editor is the dad from Psycho Goreman, and he's in that movie he's just the laziest piece of shit in the world and wonderful.
It's
in a
so
smaller
funny
role.
in a different way, and he plays
Yeah,
it
in a different-
so good too.
But-
Oh fuck!
I have to ask, and we're not going to talk about the movie for a second, but did this movie make you guys want to watch more Giallo films like it made me want to watch more Giallo films? Because
It makes me want to watch more films done like this that take a Giallo film and turn it up to 11, and take all the tropes and turn them up to 11, and do it as like a background comedy bit. Like it's
Also,
amazing.
This is a side point, and it really doesn't affect the movie discussion. This movie had the most useless post-credits scene I've ever seen in any film. Like, I kid you not. I have never seen them. I'm like, what? Like that was just a side note, and I wanted to remember it. Also, I think that our ADHD is going to be a problem tonight because this movie is not exactly easy to like recap because they are doing everything that like giallo films do, but like turning it up to 11, like Josh said. So there's going to be a ride. That's all I'm saying with that.
Which is what every character had in that movie, by the way, because it's nothing but sex, which is great.
So much nudity.
Everybody had
so
a
much
ride.
sex. Yeah.
There was a lot of cock in it for like you don't
Yeah.
see penises in films very often, and I was like, damn. And I think this probably there haven't been we had Der Samurai that we talked with Enola Josh, and the cutting penis, like the boner that gave him like samurai powers, which was a wild ride.
I'm sorry. What can you?
Yeah, it was
elaborate
that
just
was a
slightly?
wild movie. That was a
So,
wild movie.
We for like last year for for everything with like queer month and everything like that, we watched this movie called Der Samurai, which is a German movie, and it's really about a guy coming to terms with his own sexuality because he's gay. I think is what they're like really going with it. But at the end of the movie, he's running around the woods with a raging boner and a samurai sword.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
and there's like a scene where it like zooms right up on a raging hard boner, and then it's that's a thing.
But I messaged you guys because after the beginning of the editor and the penis line, I was like, the movie is amazing and I love it no matter what.
It doesn't shy away from it though, like because it knows what it's trying to do, and then it writes it in as a punchline as well.
So yeah,
here's the star of the show. This is all that matters. I love that's the only tweet I make last week. This week of Murder Moose, nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters, it's just guys know. I do have to ask you guys what else is going on before. I mean, we've all had like. We don't have to talk about everything, but have you guys been watching anything cool? You've been doing anything like our horror has obviously calmed down a little bit because of.
I went and saw Wakanda Forever in IMAX, and I gotta say, it's definitely better than the first one for me. But at the same time, man, that would have been like a hard thing to accomplish. With like the circumstances, you could feel it. Like I felt like it was very direct with the point they were trying to get across, but I felt like across the board, everyone involved was there to make sure that it was like up to here on like the acting was fucking great in like really like emotional scenes. You could feel it. And there was all the like, homages to T'Challa like being dead, and it was done with taste and I don't know, like I felt like there was a good send off and there was a lot of heart to the movie, which I felt was lacking in the first one, and obviously, but as a Marvel movie, then you get the Marvel stuff in it, and then it just feels like everything else, and I'm like like
I have two
I'm marveled
things.
out.
One, I can't be the only one. Did you watch that movie, Josh? And while you're watching it, going, "Oh, this bitch is crazy because of Cherie in her anti-vax, anti-mask."
Oh right, yeah.
She like got in trouble during that filming of that movie for all her shenanigans, right? And so like I was like, ugh. But the other statement I did have to say with that, I agree with everything you said, but Namor was fucking hot, man. Namor was with his like pierced like nose through his bone, like
he looked awesome.
Bone through his he looked. Also, I saw people were tweeting about it. Apparently, they CGI'd Namor's package out, like because he's got a big bulge in his pants in the pictures you could see, and you go into the film and they CGI'd his package out. I'm like, give his dick back, you motherfuckers! What are you doing? Let the man be proud. And it's funny.
No, let Rod get hard.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know what it was, but like they made it's like they got him with that nose piercing. How they meddled him up. He looked like very like a scene dude or something. Like I don't know what it was, but
I liked his character though. Like I felt like it was fun.
Yeah,
good,
there's a lot to like about that movie, and I enjoyed it.
good dynamics, good pacing, good. I don't know. Like it was a fun time at the movies, regardless of the Marvel thing that is
Yeah.
this world now. Like I'm pretty fatigued for sure when
Yeah.
it comes to the whole, like what I forget. I think it was Scorsese or Spielberg said
It
it's
was
going to go to the way that.
He was complaining about Marvel.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
think Spielberg early on said it's going to go the way of the Western. And like there was a time where every single movie that was made was a Western, and then people got over Westerns
Exhausted.
because
Yeah.
they're exhausted of these things. And Marvel is going to turn into that. It's going to be, okay, I don't want to watch another Western movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. There's been a lot of them. I mean, we're 15 years in now, right? So, okay.
There's a formula.
Yeah. Which is why I like. Did you guys both watch? Did you watch Werewolf by Night, Ken?
Not yet. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like when you do crazy stuff like that. That's on the side, and like, I know a lot of. Dude, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just crazy, but like my favorite things in this last phase of Marvel were like Multiverse of Madness and like Thor because they were different, and like and Werewolf and like it's just
Yeah,
like,
but even Multiverse of Madness could have been more different. I felt like
Yeah.
they allowed Sam Raimi to be himself maybe as much as they were going to allow Edgar Wright to be himself. And Edgar Wright was like, fuck off, I make Edgar Wright films. And
Yeah.
Sam Raimi was like, okay. Like,
yeah. I mean Scott Derrickson left over those like arguments, right? So it's like, yeah. So, anything
Is
else
what
you
it
guys been
is.
watching? Any new any other horror things you guys watching or whatever?
I've been watching the Cabinet of Curiosities.
where'd you get to?
Some of them, I got to the episode or the one right before. I finished the one right before Rupert Grint's episode, and then I started it, and I was like, "That's enough for tonight," because I couldn't stick with it. My brain was like, "What?" So.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one before it was good. It just I remember another movie like it, and I'm assuming it's because it's a Lovecraft story. So, but I mean,
I
it's
think
been pretty good.
I think I have one left. And yeah, like there's consistency. There's really well produced, amazing actors in every single one. But some of the stories are, I don't know, like they feel almost like too PG for me when it
Yeah.
comes to something like that. I wish it was like some of them I was like, oh, nice. As it was like a really good, like gruesome kill in the Netflix piece. But other ones I was like, this feels very like almost too kid friendly for me right now. I don't know. Give me some
Yeah,
horror.
some of them felt like they were dragging a little bit, and then also like I can't remember some of them, and I don't know what that means. I do know that I fell asleep at the end of some of them, but
It's like television, man. Like I haven't been watching that, or I haven't watched any of the series that have come out like in the last couple months. And it's like, because the wife is like interested in, like hasn't been interested in a lot of them, and so like we've been watching NCIS constantly, and it's like, which is you could turn your brain off, and I think that with that 45-minute like, I think you kind of let your guard down a little bit too, because you're like, oh, it's just a 45-minute, and like I know for all of us, we let our guard down at all, and ADHD can also be a fucking hell of a thing, you know. So it's those couple things, you're like, where do we end up? Yeah, I need to check that out. I still need to watch Midnight, or what do you call it? The Flanagan
Midnight.
one, Club.
Uh,
or,
yeah,
Oh, Club?
yeah. So
Midnight.
I still
Club.
don't. I don't think I'm gonna check it out.
are you?
I mean, I don't blame you. I understand. Like, it's definitely not for everybody. It is
Yeah.
definitely more of a younger, like, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory term. It is more Disney-fied, to
Yeah.
Well,
use terminology that you use.
And
regularly.
Smile is out now, and I'm definitely gonna rewatch that. Like I just,
Mhm.
I really, really enjoyed it, and I want to see it in my house and see, because like I went to well, we were seeing it for the show, but I went to the theater by myself, and it was such a awesome experience by myself in a theater, because like it's I don't know, you feel more like involved in the movie because you're there by yourself, nothing overly you know, even if you're there with someone who enjoys movies as much as you do, it's still like this safety feeling or something, like
Yeah.
a security blanket. And that movie, and not having like a security blanket person or something besides you, it really heightened my senses to it, and I enjoyed all the like crazy shit that movie had to offer.
That was
so.
Barbarian with a couple of really like
Mhm.
Barbarian was mostly just building up tension, but like when they got you, I went into the other where the other chair would have been. And I was like, "Ah!" the fucking that one builds up and you're just like,
Yeah.
so
There was some good, like I saw that one with Ben, and we were like, like our legs were like up on the like, because we went to the theater that has the like comfy whatever, and oh man, we were just
Dude.
like, like the tension. We're just like, no, come on, stop.
Dude, Alamo had these fried shrimp subs for Wakanda Forever because the underwater and all that shit. They had like avocado on it. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was tasty, man.
I
That's
love it.
one of one of the many things I love about Alamo. But yeah,
That sounds fantastic. I wish we had something. It's even like, okay, so the theater that I grew up, I worked in when I was like, 14 or something, like, young. It was like a movie chain that doesn't even exist in Canada anymore, but they had like fun shit. It was like themed after like movies, and they had like things that happened every hour, like a light show, or there's one at the mall that had like an Egypt like statue thing and fire and flames every hour, and it was like a destination, and then they went under, and now it's like owned by like something else. There's like two different ones, but they made it like into a sterile like airport now, and there's like not even posters on like by the doors. It just says Theater 6 and not the poster for the movie you're even seeing. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, you took out all of the personality and all of the like escapism that comes along with seeing movies. Like, what got me more into movies when I was a kid is walking past all the posters. Now I'm obsessed with making posters, and it's like, it's the whole experience, and they're stripping people of that experience, and like it's so much more expensive to go out, and like you're having this, and like I feel like there's something so missing. I still love it because of the nostalgia of it, and like, but it's hard to like have an experience anymore. It's devastating.
It's commercialized, right?
Yeah.
It's that like it's I've talked about it. There are I mean, can like attest to this. I mean, and you've been on Twitch too, Josh. It's that when you get to a certain level on Twitch, there's like streamers that like are doing that family friendly word for like, and when that
then
like it's not really them, but they're doing it. And I don't want to mention names because there's streamers I like who still do that, and I'm just like, I understand, but it's just like, hey,
I've tried it though too. Like, I had the ability to kind of adapt it because I was playing at some parts with my daughter on Twitch.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, if I'm around my kids, it's going to be family friendly because there's
PG,
the PG stuff. Yeah. So there's the kids there, but at the same time, I wasn't doing it all consistently, so I understand that weird dynamic. And it's not that it wasn't me, but at the same time, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's like
you're not being 100% yourself, right? Which is like,
if you have a front page slot on Twitch, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do unless it's like surprise front page, which doesn't really happen very often. But one of the things that they ask you not to do is to swear, make any lewd comments, like, and I'm like, this is really hard. And then they were like, we need you to turn your mod filter up to 3. And I was like, I have usernames in my chat that won't be able to speak. I cannot do that.
Including one that you live with.
Yeah, like we can't. Let's not.
That makes me laugh because the last time KPP was on the front page, like I was like in her chat, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I said something, and I got auto-modded, and I'm like cursing at the auto-mod, and it's like a joke, like because me and her mods were laughing about it, and I'm just like, damn you, auto-mod, damn you. And it's
hate auto-mod.
Yeah, auto-mod sucks. Okay.
I have mine at 0 all the time.
Yeah,
well, next time KPP comes on, we're gonna have to like, we'll make a 4th spot and see how that works on this. So it's not just guest spot. We'll have a 4 4-spot.
Yes.
And we'll do shark movie with. See how it goes. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We had because we were like the fourth one we were like, Josh and I were like, I don't know if we can do it, but we can try. I mean, it's not like 4 people on a podcast is like impossible. It's like I've done it with the Handle with Scare guys, like because there's 3 of them now, so you can do
Nice.
it. It's just
To be honest, if I'm not here for it, it's KPP is great. I'm just saying I'm good.
See, look,
can-
we could do it live right now. We'll just do this. Move this guy down here.
no, you're stuck with us, Ken. You're here every week.
Yay!
Come on.
It's official.
It's official. Okay, let us adventure on and talk about this crazy fucking movie from 2014, I guess. Let's do a couple things. One, I kept finding this movie was like search engines don't like the name for some
Yes.
reason, Josh.
Well,
and
it's
I don't know
Canadian.
why.
It's not overly well-known flick.
I know, but I was putting it in Shudder where I watched it, and Shudder didn't even want to find it. I had to go in and like go to the fucking Giallo films, and like go in there and do it like that. So it's like
This
I
is just.
found it.
I know
This is
I
just
found
one-
it too.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You had an
Right.
easy time finding it.
No, I found it through Shudder.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
that makes no sense, Rod. You just got to spell it right.
What do you mean? EDHZP PENIS.
That's too many P's.
Yeah, penis.
Pick one P out. It's
Penis.
just penis.
But yes, so I watched this on Shudder. Josh, you had obviously known about this movie for years because it sounded like you watched it probably around 2014.
No, I saw it like they were doing the festival circuit with it. So I think I saw it in 2013,
damn.
and because the actress was in the audience with the posters and
Yeah.
everything, and then there's a Q&A after. So like, that's what I love about because I met a lot of these people through the festivals, and like they're in the next province over from me and stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
the amount of amazing filmmakers in Canada, there are really cool houses, but there's not an abundance of them. So it's really easy to kind of like get to know the different like horror houses making fucking amazing movies in Canada. So it's I get to see them first, and I feel
The
like
only-
it's it doesn't happen all the time. We're not Hollywood, but when they do come out, it's gems like this that are.
Yeah.
Mm,
The only time I've ever been in a theater like that and had an actor show up was for Martha Marcy May Marlene with
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen, like before anybody knew who she
Who
was.
she was,
besides
yeah.
besides being the Olsen twin sister, and her and the director showed up after to answer questions, and that movie is still like one of those movies I wish more people knew about because it's so fucking wonderful. I mean, it's not a happy movie. It's like about trauma and cults and like
Yeah.
shit like that, but it's really fucking good. It's like,
Please send name to me.
yes, it's one of those movies that you sit there and go, I had for like months after watching it, Martha Marcy May
Yeah.
it's like one of the most like it, and you get the name when you see the movie, but like it's a crazy movie. It's really really good, but like it's one of those like independent thriller kind of like dramas, and it's just like, and then not that long after that she started doing Marvel stuff, so it was like, like not even Marvel stuff, like she's just starting getting bigger movies, and then but it's one of those things you're like, this is a cool thing, and I asked her a question, so that was even cooler, but like my wife's like, you have a crush on her, she's like,
who doesn't? Come on.
I mean, she's a pretty lady, we all know that, right? So but yeah, so The Editor from 2014, directed by Adam Brooks and Matthew Kennedy, so dual directors, and
The
synopsis
editor
goes,
directed it.
yeah. It reads, a film editor gets embroiled in a string of murders. Also, I just want to say, start off, they hit every Giallo like thing so well in this movie, including the bad dubbing,
Yes.
like the dubbing on top of everything.
I was watching it and I was like, is this what the heck is going on? And
On
then I noticed, like,
purpose.
at random points,
Yeah.
it would just shift, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
they had a scene, I don't even know who was in, it might have been the priest or someone, or the inspector, where the character who was talking was, you were looking in the back of their head, and it looked like the actor wasn't even moving his mouth, like they just dubbed over, like without.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff. And we talked about it last week with Suspiria, like how they dub over a lot of like none of the voice is actually from the movie, and they did that in this, and it's just like, man, they fucking nailed it, and they nailed like so.
That's what I love about it. Like they understand it as, it's like, it's bad filmmaking on purpose, so it's such good filmmaking. If you actually look at it, like what they're attempting to do, it's such a high level like knowledge of why they wanted to do the things they did, and they did it at such a high level that it's just, for me, and like because I just adore movies like this is like everything to me, like, and Psycho Goreman as well, and just that like stupid, so self-aware comedy that they're doing it for me. I feel like they're just talking directly to me with this.
Dude, the line. Okay, I have it on my phone because we recorded it. There's a scene in the movie where the two characters meeting, and the one guy's like, they're standing there naked, and the one guy's like, he goes, what does he say? He goes, "That's an excellent penis you have," and and it is said with such a straight face, and I was like, what the fuck? And it's two guys just sitting there naked next to each other.
No, they're standing in the locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah, standing front to front.
Yeah. And there's dongs hanging out, and you're like,
there's so many like scenes and lines like that in this movie that are done so just like straight faced, and it's the most ridiculous line you've ever heard in a movie, and then it just continues on. Mine
was when she, like, when the two of them were talking, and she was like, "Oh, I was busy that night. I was washing my hair and shaving my pussy," and just like kept on, and I was like, "What?"
Dude, it is. I've probably seen 3 or 4 Giallo films now, and like I think the other one I could think of offhand is Tiambre or something like that. It's like about a American horror author who goes over to Rome and is like, there's these murders that are like his books, but it's like there's so many tropes and everything like that, especially towards the end of this movie, that is just like, also you have to come into this knowing it's like a fucking, because they do shit in this movie that isn't cool into 2013 2014, like, but they're, because of the Italian, all the Giallo movies were Italian made. They often made them here, but they would make them here. They make them in Italy, and then they would dub over. But like the inspector goes off about like how like you don't slap you're not slapping your woman enough and shit.
And
like
then
that.
she's like, "What am I supposed to slap myself?"
Yeah. And you're just like, what the like? It takes a second, like, and you're like. And it's a time of that thing of the 70s, right? Like most of the, and they went into the 80s and stuff like that. But like, there's stuff at the time you watching this, you're like, if you're not aware of that, you're like, what the fuck? It's like how there are many times where movies don't age well, especially with comedies, right? Like I always reference Ace Ventura, because you go back and watch Ace Ventura now, it's very transphobic in that last act of that film because of the villain and everything that happens and you go back and watch Monster Squad from the 80s, which was a PG movie like a movie that a lot of people grew up with, and you go watch that now and they're dropping F-bombs like with like calling other kids and stuff, like stuff that was completely acceptable, and you go, oh, I wonder why. I realize now why we, like, every kid,
it was acceptable at the time.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that growing up, like, little boys were like, when you didn't like someone or someone pissed you off, you called them an F-bomb. That's like what you did. Like, or at least when I grew up, like where I grew up, and like it's just like stuff that was acceptable and isn't. Yeah. And it's like they're kind of they're mocking that stuff, like, in this movie, which is another level of like how clever this film is, because they're like
the scene on the poster where he's like, I bet you this is a mask, and rips her face off.
And then like tries to smash it back together.
And then it's
like,
back on.
And it's her with just like paint.
And she's fine. Yeah.
So good. Oh, those are the types of things and scenes that it's like it's straight up to 11 with everything,
Yeah.
but then it pulls it back and it's a joke after. It's so funny.
What does he call the priest the whole time? The magician or the wizard or
Yeah.
he calls him something different. Every time he did, I laughed. I was like, "That's."
Well, they call the
That's-
editor a
that's
cripple
humorous.
because he's missing fingers the entire
Yeah.
time, and it's
Well, that dude, the hand thing, like where he's like,
I
he
can't
cuts
light a
his own-
match.
Yeah, and they use it all to set up that gag at the end with
Yeah.
him lighting his wooden hand on
Woodman,
fire.
you can do it, Woodman.
Also, I have to say, and before I forget about it, I think that the car scene where they both drove off the cliff, I was laughing harder.
That
than I
whole
think-
car chase was so epic. It was so
Yeah.
well done, like so comedic, but then good shots and then insanely bad shots on purpose, side by side.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Well, they're sitting there fighting with these. Dude, I laughed. I don't know if you guys noticed during that car chase, like, you know, they're obviously in these 70s cars because they're doing the 70s stuff. There was like a fucking Honda or something. You briefly like kind of see it. in the
Yeah.
side, and you're like, that's like a modern car, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And they had to have left it in on purpose, right? They did that on purpose. because
Everything was
that
on
another-
purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And you're just like, oh my. But like they both fucking fall off the cliff, and they're just like. It's so insane and so ridiculous, but it's just like that scene was just like I think the funniest scene besides that's an excellent penis you have. And it's just like,
Oh man.
I sent that clip though, by the way, to Classy Katie, and like I recorded it on my phone or my wife did because my phone was acting up, and all I got was 3 responses. Oh my god. And I'm like, yes,
It's so
This movie-
perfect for this
Yeah.
show though. Like of
Yeah.
all if anyone like okay, we're on episode 111, 111 shows. If you don't know us by now and our ADD tendencies, and especially with Psycho Gorman himself being in our like logo now,
Yep.
it kind of just like reflects who like Rod and I are just like I don't know. We have so much in common with our taste for movies too.
and Ken obviously is just right in there with us, and it's just
I
like,
knew
that's
you'd
why she
fucking love
fits so
this.
well. Yeah, it is.
Loved every time that they did the scenes where he would like rub mud on his face, and then that one where he like throws the cake at her and then
Yeah.
is like rubbing the cake violently. I was like, why? But okay, like this is fine.
The cop is the fucking one of my favorite, if not my favorite character in the entire film, because he's like everything is like he's like every cop trope where it's like he's like on the thing and like he's like dating the I don't know, the fucking sex scene with him and the blind actress who got traumatized and is just like, and then he wakes up, like it's like they mix these weird dream sequences with the not dream sequences, and it's like they do this all because of the Giallo, like this movie, and that's why I was like, I don't know what this discussion is going to be like because it's not
It
you can
jumps
basic-
everywhere.
Yeah, it jumps everywhere. It doesn't. Nothing is. You don't have a reliable narrator at all because everything is like weird giallo things. You have the like, especially at the end, man. It gets real fucking wacko at the end, and I knew it was gonna be crazy. It was probably crazier than I thought it was gonna be because giallo films can go fucking off the rails at the end, like because they're doing all these twists and turns and shit like that, like this film does, and you're like. Oh, okay, I'm in for it. And I knew he was never going to be the killer. I knew that was going to be the case. They were going to make it look like he was the killer, but he wasn't. And then obviously the wife and all the stuff with that, and then the whole like, what are you talking about? This person was this, and this, and it was just like they just threw. There are 6 twists at the end of this movie, like if not more, like
Yeah.
And then
there
the
were
end.
so many, and at the end, I was like, I need to go back and watch this because I was doing me things, which is not
ADHD
fully
things.
focused.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. I mean,
so I watched it again.
Well, that's the thing. I don't, and I bet you that second time really didn't clear much up,
Nope.
right? Because that doesn't like, it doesn't. It's supposed to be crazy and wild, like
Yeah.
that. Like we maybe do Tiambre at some point. That movie, towards the end of that movie, is like, you are like, twist and twist and twist, and like, I'm like, what the hell? Like you. And
What
that's
about
why I'm like,
Pieces? We should do Pieces. I heard that's a really good one. I don't know. There's like
I'm good with that. I mean, we could do. I was gonna.
we're
go
diving into the Giallo world now. We did Japanese. We did Korean. We went to Canada for a bit. Now we've just been in the
Yeah.
new age thing. But I think there's a trend now. It's like, well, we'll just go down that rabbit hole. The Giallo
Well, I mean,
films.
we had people
I'm
going,
down.
"Oh, you're not doing like you're doing all new things." And I was like, "Well, we're watching new things, and that's why we're diving into that."
But
Um,
it's a
yeah.
thing though. Like, what have you watched? It's like we're gonna talk about it anyways. Why don't we just make it an episode? Because like I
Yep.
want to go to the theater to see this because
Yep.
come on, and we don't want spoilers before we spoil the shit out of it. So
Yep, exactly. And it's I don't know, man. It's ADHD. Like you and I and Ken and we're all three of us are like, if we're not interested in something, it's not going to be as good, right? So we want to be interested in it.
But
So,
also,
yeah.
there's no rules, and that's what I think makes our podcast a little bit different than most, and also what really drew me into it becoming a thing that lasts and stands the test of time, because it doesn't need to be,
yeah,
that overly structured. There's so many of those out there, and I don't think just the straight talk, our ability to have an actual flowing conversation is something as well. Like we're all ADD, but we're not even interrupting each other. It's just, that made this come up in my head, and we just talk about that, and it's a thing that is able to happen.
You're very right. Like one of the things that I do love about the show is I've seen plenty of podcasts, and this is no shade on other ones. They're like a list of movies I see podcasts do, like other horror podcasts, and it's always like older, and it's always like classics, and always this and that, and I'm like, which is cool, but it's like if I hear 4 podcasts talk about Jason,
It's predictable.
Friday the 13th Part 4, it's like you're like, I mean, it's like it's the same kind of thing, and it's just like you have to really
It's
step up.
organic for us, though.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's a direct, actual, deep love for the genre and every subgenre of horror, and I think this is like we set it up as this is our bucket list. This is like. It was at the time with my ex, she didn't want to watch it all the time, and it was like, oh, but I have to for the podcast. So like, it was like, and it was like the stuff we want to watch. It was the bucket list shit. So like, it still is, especially when it comes to older ones, because it's almost like the shame list at this point, because like we're known as the people, even to like close friends and stuff. It's like, oh, you're the horror guy. So have you seen this? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so fucking what? I've seen hundreds of horror movies. Like, just because I haven't seen the one, I'll put it on the list and tell you about it once I talk, to the other guys.
I mean, you don't have to say the names. How many like bucket list horror movies do you have that like you're like, this is something I should have watched by now? Are there a lot of them?
That's more like shame list rather than bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And like I keep finding new stuff from you guys. Like this whole genre that we're in right now, I didn't truly know much about it, so it's been kind of interesting to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of like random stuff. Like I said before, I didn't see Hellraiser, and I'm a big fan of those, like that particular, culty, but not culty, but super popular and over commercialized now. That grouping, but I mean, there's a bunch. I'm down. It's kind of like when people ask me if I've played a particular horror game, and I'm like, yeah, I think so. Yep, I sunk 20 hours of my life into that shit.
Let me check my Steam. Oh, what?
And then I look,
that long?
Or they'll be like, did you play this? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Let me look. And I was like, oh, I spent 35 hours on that game. I guess I played it. I don't know.
It's not directly. That's the ADD thing, though. If it's not in your face, in front of you, I don't remember shit. It's like, what? I worked on that? I don't remember. Like,
yeah. If there's movies like that, they're like, there's lots of stuff that like stuff comes back to me. I don't remember. The wife and I were watching something recently, and I was like, Oh yeah, I knew I had seen it, but I wasn't like 100%. Right?
Sometimes it takes me till like the halfway point. Oh, I finally remember a scene. I have seen this.
Yeah.
And then it's like it all comes back to me. Oh yeah, and then this and this and this happens. Okay, cool, yeah. Well, we can still watch it. Well, no, you've seen it.
It's so much content.
Hardly.
Right? Like, when you're just consuming content constantly and you're
Yeah.
making content, like there's a lot, man, and it's like things run into each other. I mean, it's one of the things that I think that makes this movie kind of hard to talk about a little bit, right? Because it's got that general like plot line where a editor is sitting there and someone starts killing people on this movie set, and then crazy shit happens, right? And then it's kind of more like
Movies that were
It's a-
just people are just getting naked in the background for no reason.
yeah.
All the time.
And
Yeah.
they don't care that
They're-
people are dying. The
Yeah.
whole, well, everybody's just getting really hurt here. Everybody's just dying. But let's keep going.
Yeah, well, especially the old guy, the director, who's like, dude. Also, I saw more hairy vaginas in this movie than I think I've seen.
70s Bush, baby.
Yeah, I
But
know.
even like the guy, like I think that was like a thing too. Like they would recast people in the middle of the movie and just hope you didn't catch
Yeah.
on. Like when the guy died, and then in the next scene where he was replaced, the
penis,
guy with the
or XM
nice
penis.
penis guy. Yeah, it's like he's so different, and he kind of has the same hair, but they just you see it in the cut of the movie. It's just like all of a sudden he's just this bigger dude. Oh, I love it.
That and like the things that make me so laugh. Like so, then the director goes. The director tells him to cut the little blonde guy who was also another like favorite character in the movie.
So good.
And it make him the star. And then they go, "How did you cut me out of the movie?" And it's like, how would you cut that guy out of the movie at that point? Anyways, like there's no movie left then because you've killed the two actors that were the main role and like
He's.
it,
Do you have a You'll have to have a warrant for that. He's just like, I can have it, and he's just like eating the film. Like,
was he? I don't think I noticed he was eating it at that point.
I didn't notice that.
yeah.
I will say the blonde guy immediately made me think, and this is probably cursed, and I apologize, but the blonde guy, when I first saw him, reminded me of Jared Leto in Fight Club. Like
Oh,
when
yeah.
he first came on screen,
Yeah.
I was like, and then he started talking, and I was like, no, but okay.
With his blonde hair, yeah, his hair's a little. I mean, Leto's hair was shorter. I mean, a little bit shorter in that. In
It
Fight
was like
Club, but-
white in
Yeah.
Fight Club, but I don't know. For some reason, I think it's just because he stood out so much, which reminded me of that character. But
And now I'm just thinking about the chainsaw scene where the chainsaw wasn't even
the
running,
chainsaw wasn't moving,
but it was making noise.
and it's like it was one thing. Like I get, chainsaws when you turn them on,
Yeah.
like and you're revving them. They don't necessarily always have the chain going, but it was just so funny because like
Yeah.
he's like and it's just sitting there, and I was like, what?
Yeah, well, because then you see it like they do rev it a little
Yeah.
bit, like during the scene, and you're just like, they just put the chainsaw running noises over the whole thing, and it's just like, oh my god, I fucking love this. I also I don't know. I might have ADHD'd out during the whole like scene where you found out about him cutting his own fingers off. Where
Oh,
like
that scene messed with
with
me
the-
really
yeah, the
bad.
paper
Oh,
cutter?
when he's cutting it.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think I missed why he did it. Was it because he was upset?
He was
'cause,
cutting.
like-
He was cutting the longest movie ever made,
Yeah.
and it made me
Yeah.
go insane.
Oh, the movie that didn't have like a plot or like it was like the guy was gonna do.
And he's
something.
just
Okay,
like
that's-
shink, shink, ah! And then it shows him and he's eating his own fingers.
That was
Yeah.
so weird.
yeah,
But it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Nothing
just-
makes sense, but it makes it so good.
the whole like crippled thing was just fucking. You're like, it's so over the top, but like yeah, it would totally fit in. Like, but like how what's his name? The actor is Adam Brooks is Ray Sisko, who's and they talk about this guy like he's the craziest person in the world and he's the least capable thing just because he only like they cut his fingers off at like it looks like probably right like under the second knuckle, right, or the first knuckle from the hand. So like he's got enough hand that he's wearing these gloves because he's obviously didn't cut his fingers off, and they're like, he can't do anything, and like that's where it goes into the like he can't light a match joke, which they use like multiple times throughout the film, and then which leads to him lighting his wooden hand on fire to light the wife on fire, and you're just like
the crazy. Oh my god,
Yeah.
she's so over the top and such an easy character to just dislike the entire time.
yeah.
I just
Well,
love the whole time when like he's got the woman that works with him in the editing room, and she's like, but I love you, and he's like, I'm happily married, and then he goes home and she's like, this man is perfect, he's amazing, I would cry if he died, and you're just
Then yeah, and then she goes back to like later on where she's like the blonde guy. Then she's obsessed with the blonde guy because the blonde guy took over because she's the one killing everyone. You find out later on. So she murdered the excellent penis guy and the other the main actors, and then she kills the. It's so bonkers and so fucking like one. It's fun. Like it's none of the movie is serious at all, but it just does a good job. Like it does the thing like. One of the big things about Giallo films, you always have to have the black gloves, like black leather gloves.
Yeah.
So they do that. They had the straight razor, which is a big thing in Giallo films. Like
And
a lot
the
of
lighting was there so
Yeah.
well in so many good scenes.
The fucking scene where the blind guy drops his like straight razor and the detective picks it up. He's like, you don't want people to think that like you're unarmed, and it's like while he's investigating the.
But before that, he was putting in a whole bunch of hunting knives
Random
and other
knives.
weapons into his trunk,
Yeah.
and
just
then drops that.
talking and just putting those in the trunk.
But that's like that's this whole movie in a nutshell, right there. It's just like we're in the know, but no one else is in this movie,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it so funny and so watchable.
They get to the point where they're solving the murders, and then they're like, they make you think that like nothing they go, race Sisso or whatever his name is like doesn't have like they just throw so many things in that scene specifically. You're just like, so what? Hey, who's like the cop doesn't know anyone, and you're just like, what is going? I know what's happening is that what they're doing is trying to like confuse the audience because they're like trying to throw the thing, and you're just like they want you to think it was a dream or like because that's another big thing from that that period, and it's just like what the
But there were so many parts that all of a sudden it was a dream, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what? That was a dream?
well the post-credit scene it's like the editor comes home and his girlfriend is now the editor chick who was like you guys were just talking about that was like trying to hit on him. I honestly thought that they were setting that up that she was the killer because like she was so in love with this guy that like everyone else is taking it away, and it's just like it was
There's like multiple different things that could have been it at the end.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. The wife, when they went out to dinner too, and she's just like getting pissed over everything. Like, what do you, like you said, Ken, what am I going to slap myself? It's just like, you're like, oh man, this movie is wild.
I did this for you this time, but you better get a hang of your situation. A handle. Oh my gosh.
The
A handle, because he's got a fake hand. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I also love
the
when
dad jokes
detective-
just can't take a back seat. They're sitting front seat with Kin all the time, top of
Oh, dude, they are.
mind, and it's like,
Beep beep.
do you
Follow
find
Kin.
yourself like in normal situations now where it just is like, oh, I can't not do this, and you just dad
Yeah,
joke everyone now?
I think I told you guys this, but when I was in Florida, we went to rent a car, and the whiteboard on the wall had like a riddle on it. And so I read the riddle, and I looked at her, and I was like, huh. And she said, she was like, oh, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing great. If I was a scarecrow, I'd be out standing in my field. And my mom turned and looked at me, and she goes, you did not. just say that." And I was like, yeah. And the girl just started rolling her eyes and laughing. I was like, I'm sorry. It was intense, like camping.
you do your TikToks or your dad jokes or you plop on your couch and it is the most drive-by dad jokes in the world and they're wonderful.
Somebody told me the other day, they're like, just scrolling through TikTok and I see this green ass busted wall and I'm like, well, there goes my day. It's Ken doing a dad joke.
Oh man, I have to say I think the one character in this movie I kind of wish there was more of was the priest.
Yes.
So good.
He makes the best facial expressions like every time he's in it and is like
I love the zoom ups on him and zoom outs all the time.
He's got those really like eyes that pop out of his head. Like he's got that chubby face but those big eyes that are super expressive and he's the only one who like believes that Ray isn't the killer the whole film.
Yeah.
But it's just everyone acts like a B movie so well because that's what they like would have done, right? And it's like you get introduced to the priest when he's like he goes into confession and then the priest instead of like taking his confession starts asking him movie questions. And he's like, how is the set of a film like because he's obsessed with the editor's wife because the editor's wife was her whole motive for killing in the film is because she was like the big actress. And then did I miss like they just said she just wasn't an act like they stopped making it kind of seems like she got too old but they didn't really state it like she's not an actress anymore and like or like doesn't get parts anymore or whatever and so now she just sits at home and watches whatever it's like they didn't I didn't miss that, did I? Why she wasn't an actress anymore?
If you did, I also did.
Yeah. Josh?
I just ADD'd out.
Okay, Josh. I see Josh is like pussy.
There was a good amount in this movie.
Oh God, so many hairy bushes. So many. And butts. There are butts everywhere. And there's just genitals
and
everywhere.
Sex. Just so much sex.
Dude.
Like, we were watching it, and HD, like, leaned over, and he looked at me, and he goes, is this a porn? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay. And went back to playing New World.
It's pretty fucking close, though. Like, it is a very not rated movie, for sure, because I don't know what you would get for this.
The detective fucking the blind actress and staring at the photo... I was laughing the entire time.
That whole scene is so rough because he's laughing because he's staring at that and then he's throwing the fucking cake and he's rubbing and like choking
so
her
insensitive
out while looking at the picture.
Yeah, and then he wakes up and it's not even the same room and like it's like.
Didn't he wake up in like a field at one point?
No, that was like the flashback with the other.
Oh right,
yeah, with who like I forget who it was a flashback because like it was the blonde guy's girlfriend where he fucked her in the woods and that was like the whole like he was like, rubbing mud on his face and he's like and just going crazy from it. But
that's just how Rod. That's just a normal. But wait, what day is it? Wednesday night.
I mean, I can't orgasm unless I have cake on my face, and so it's just how I am. I can't help what my penis says. It does. It has its own mind.
I haven't smashed a cake on my face on stream in a while. That may be something to do.
Dude, I did that. The only time I did I did a 12-hour stream one time, and that was one of the things. And there's still clips of it, but like having a cake smashed in your face wasn't as like. I don't know. I think I did like the whole like just you go to like Walmart or like a grocery store and they just like sell a individual piece of cake. It wasn't like a big old cake, but yeah. What was
that? You do it right, you can't breathe. Like, and nobody tells you that. If you do like a pie to the face or whatever, if you do it right, oh my God, it's everywhere. And then, side note, because this is what this is. If you ever have to cake yourself. I almost said pie and cake at the same time. If you ever have to cuck yourself. No, if you ever have to
You say if you ever have to
cake
cuck
yourself.
Oh my god, this is going down a deep hole.
Cucking yourself is very different, Ken. That means
I know.
that means
If you ever have to smash a cake on your face, number 1, do not get buttercream icing. If you have to, number 2, do not put it in the fridge and then take it out and smash it in your face, because it's just a piece of rock at this
Yeah.
point. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming to my TED Talk.
I mean, it's okay. I think that like, I wonder what would the
Oh yeah.
best type
Wait,
of cake
how
things.
we're 55 in? Okay, well, first edit for sure.
No, you did it earlier because Gizmo was here.
But that's not even, that's just a given. This is the actual
know.
first. That's the only one. That's the only one this one gets.
Yeah, that's the only one. You did it,
Whatever.
you did it. I just this movie is wild, and it's really like we've just been basically talking about the favorite parts because it's crazy. I just you have to go into this film kind of understanding what it is, right? You have to know that it's a mockumentary,
I didn't know anything, and that
satire version.
I just actually no. I'm trying to think back because Ben, I think prepared me a little bit. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to see this. It's going to be really funny because it's something that it's not type thing. They're
Yeah.
doing this on purpose, and so yeah, I guess I did know they were doing it on purpose. That's all I really knew going in. So I don't
Is
think
it?
Kin really knew anything. So
Yeah.
that's awesome because you're like
was
questioning
very-
everything.
Yeah, I was like, okay, because again, the only other experience that I had with any of, outside, I mean, I've watched like, B movies and movies that like intentionally do things, but the only experience I had with this particular genre that they're parodying was the one that we had watched before.
But I think that's a
so-
good segue to this because it's like
yeah,
it's
it
a
was
gateway,
great segue.
and it kind of sets the bar for like that's like most people's favorite Giallo movie like of all time. So to go from Suspiria and like all the tropes that you saw done in a 70s actual Giallo film and then
Yeah.
done now in early 2010s and like Canada.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, I mean, it's the dude. It's the there is a thing about good horror comedy. Like comedies are something I can rewatch over and over and over again. Like there will be other horror, like Alien's still my favorite horror movie of all time. But like you have a good horror comedy, and like Evil Dead 2 and like things like that. I mean, that's why Psycho Gorman is a horror comedy, and you just go. It has that thing where like I feel like good comedy is one of those things that I could rewatch over and over again, like if I need to rewatch something. And so like you hit with good jokes and you hit with that kind of stuff like that, and it just gives that like extra thing for me where I can watch things over and over again. Like so and for me watching a movie 3 times is over and over again because like my ADHD, like I have a hard time like I get hooked on things, right? Like up to now, it was like every couple of years I would get addicted to an album and listen to it a bunch of times. So like the last 2 years, there's been enough music put out that like from the pandemic that all these bands have obviously had time to do it. And it's like we talk about what the pandemic has done to art and horror, and like we talk about how all these more horror's been made because of what it takes to make a horror movie is probably less than a lot of other genres, right? And I don't even know 100% we're going with this, but like it's that I just started blabbering.
That
and
just, Rod, if I was in real life with you, I would give you the biggest hug
know.
right now because that's just like the amount of times I've fucking done that. It's
yeah.
just,
There was a point that I was going to got completely like.
oh,
like,
I love you so
if
much,
you don't
Rod.
have ADHD, you don't understand that. Like I say this all the time. The words coming out of my mouth, sometimes I have an idea of what I want to say, but I don't plan anything. I'm just like, the words are coming out. I was like, I want to go to Detroit, and somehow I ended up in fucking Chicago instead. I
We
went.
call that rabbit holing in therapy because
Yeah.
I am very, very bad about it. And then I feel I have to explain myself. So I'll be like in the middle of a thought, I'll wander off and explain something. And I'm like, hold on, this pertains. But let me drive back across the country, up into Canada, grab Josh, and come back down. And then I can tell you how this relates.
Yeah, we'll grab Tim's on the way.
Yeah, and then we'll grab Rod.
Yeah, I laugh because this is like, if my wife and I have been together since like 2006. It's like 16 years. Years ago, she just came to terms. If she sees me get a certain look on my face, if she doesn't let me say it right that second,
It's
that
gone.
my brain will go squirrel. Is the old ADHD joke, and it's just like, but. I was just trying to say that, like, because of horror being like the thing it is, like I got like
It's easier to make. It's less. It requires less. And then in the pandemic, we found that a lot of other things were able to do that.
Yeah, and so I've been obsessed with like 3 albums this year, and I think the point was that like I can get obsessed with horror comedy that is really, really well done more easily because of that light tone and that levity that horror comedy does. Like
Army of Darkness, I watched like in my high school years, I think over 87 times in 1 year or something.
Yeah.
And like Shaun of the Dead, I've seen so many fucking times, and it's just I totally get it.
Zombieland, I could watch Zombieland like repeatedly because Zombieland's such a good thing. What's your favorite horror comedy, Ken?
There's a whole thing with that. I'll side note off of that. There's a whole thing with that that's for certain individuals, which I mean, I guess it's more prevalent than people try to make it out. But like for me, I have comfort shows that I can watch. I always find something funny with or interesting. But at the same time, I can go to sleep and I'm not super worried about it.
Because you've seen it, you're not missing out.
Right. So like I watch Bob's Burgers almost every single night. But like every once in a while I'll be watching an episode. I'm like, I don't remember this one. And then, there's some random line. I'm like, that's hilarious. Oh my God, how have I not seen this? But as far as like favorite horror comedy is probably Motel Hell.
The first movie you came and did with us, that movie is wild, man. It is. I am so glad that you brought, because like,
it wasn't on my radar, and then since we watched it, it's been in the last year with HorrorCon and just a few other things. It got brought up so many times. I think it's because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was in existence that year as well, and there's a lot more people talking about like similar things. So I had never heard like a peep, a whisper about that movie until you brought it up, and then after it was just. I guess it's on my radar. I knew.
You also
maybe,
were aware of it at that point. Yeah.
So it was really weird how like loud everyone was about that movie after, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I totally get it now because it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think the only reference I knew about that movie was probably Brandon Tenold did a review of it years ago. So I'd seen his review, I think. So I had a basic understanding of that film, but like.
But I think that's what I love about. Our approach to the bucket list or our shame list. It's not even shameful at all. It's like, no, we actually want to like bring it. Like we want to know what we should see as well. Like, so if there is something that is like, I can't believe you haven't seen this, it's like, tell us. We want to know and we want to see it. It's not a shameful thing. It's something like, hey, you can't see everything, but we'll try.
Yeah.
With that being said, make sure you tweet that at the Murder Moose Podcast as well as us in general. So feel free to tweet us, like shoot us or whatever. Not shoot us, Jesus, but like
shoot us a message is what you were going with. I think. Yeah.
But yeah, tweet us lists. I have a whole running thing. I have a whole place. I have a subreddit where we have lists and lists and lists of things that I need to watch. So feel free to tweet us and.
It's. I mean, it's with how much content there is. It's like, it's never like. I didn't watch so many things until later in life. I didn't watch Texas Chainsaw till my 30s. I didn't watch The Exorcist till my my early 30s. But it's stuff like that. It's just like, what I mean. It doesn't mean you're not a horror person. It doesn't mean like it's dude, I want to open arms people into the horror community, not like, oh my
Exactly.
God, you haven't
that's-
seen Dracula from 1932.
Those are
and blah, blah, blah.
gatekeepers of everything, though. Like those
Yeah.
are the people
Yeah.
that make more people not want to. Like I like accessibility in community, regardless of the community you're a part of. Like I'm a part of a whole bunch of different other like communities, YouTube in Calgary, and horror and just film in general, and like there's so many like leak over of people into one or more, and there's select people in all of those that feel their ego needs to be heard more than other people, and it's like it's not. Why does it have to be this ego driven thing?
Yeah.
Especially when I feel like it's not. Well, I don't know. On Twitter, there's a lot more people with big egos in the horror community that are just live on Twitter. I don't know what communities or whatever they're a part of, but they have big pitchforks and really need to be heard about how terrible fucking movies are. And
Welcome to
whatever.
streamer Twitter.
Yeah,
Exactly, dude. That's why I avoid most of that. There's one of my, to be honest, one of my favorite Twitter accounts anywhere is this lady who she does. She's an artist, but she's a big wrestling fan. But she's only been a wrestling fan for like 2 years, and so like she's always experiencing and learning new stuff, and she's always so excited about it, right? Like she's like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it's just like,
I love it.
it's such a cool thing. It's like when you're figuring out stuff that like you've never seen and shit. Like it's so much. The world
I've seen a
sucks
lot of
enough.
that this week, these last couple weeks, with new people and new experiences, and it's really exciting to have that type of energy around you.
Yeah.
And it's contagious, and it's
It's so much better to look at the world, and like that's why like over the last couple years, especially my experience with Twitter. You know, people call Twitter a cesspool. I block and ignore things that are like that, right? Or I try to avoid them as much as possible. So it's like I want my experiences with all this stuff is because of the rest of my life. Enough shitty things happen in the world, and it's just like avoiding that stuff and just trying to be positive. And I think that's one of the things Josh and I started out when we started this, is just like trying to. Can we, over the last couple of years, we've like there have been podcasts or movies a couple times we've like, we're gonna do this, and then we've watched the movie and like, yeah, we don't want to do this, and like we don't want to sit there and shit on something, and just like we've shit
not
on a
worth
couple
it.
things,
It's not.
But, yeah,
It's not. We've found also like it brings our vibe down. Like Rod and I, and this whole podcast is just a vibe. It's him and I feeding off of one another and our energy. And when it's a movie that has not really given us the best time or the best experience to talk about, it is not a fun podcast to do either.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work because we're not gonna give it as much attention, or I don't know. It's just spread love. Like we love horror, we love films, and we love chatting about it afterwards. So like just nothing but love.
exactly. And we love Kin, as she officially
Yes.
as a voting moose.
Whoa! Hey, I'm excited. This is awesome.
There was not a vote taken on this. Josh may not agree with this.
Josh
I was
made
the one
more
who said it.
permanent Than, Josh said it more than me. So.
I said it's
He did it
official.
first,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Ken, you were pretty much official anyways, but we're official now. So, we gotta wrap up though. Like we started later than like normal, and we've done like it's not super long. It's like an hour and 8 minutes we've done, but
It's perfect.
it's perfect. Every episode's perfect. I think. Do you want to do pieces then, Josh? You talking
Sure.
about? We could do pieces for next week, which is from what year is it? Let's see. I'm gonna look on IMDb. It is from.
1982.
Oh no, Pieces is not a Giallo movie, dude. I've seen Pieces.
Is it not?
No, Pieces is okay. I thought that it was something else. We'll look. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. There are more Giallo films. This is just a weird campus slasher film. I don't think it's an actually Giallo film.
Really?
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure something out, and we're gonna tweet it out about.
It
that
says
thing.
Giallo movies about serial killers on Google.
Okay, then
So
fine. We'll do Pieces. I didn't think. Maybe I didn't realize it was Giallo. We'll do Giallo. We'll do Pieces. Okay, cool. I'm cool with it. I've seen it, but I liked it. So I have seen more Giallo than I even thought. It's very like.
That's
It's
one
very-
that usually comes up on people's lists as well. Like,
Okay.
because it's
Yeah,
70s, because it's, even though it's slasher, I love slasher films anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean most Giallos are pretty much slashers, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Well, then you just don't even know what a Giallo film is.
I'm a slightly
God,
bitch
look at
apparently.
this
God,
guy.
Rod.
Look at this.
God.
I don't know enough about all these films. I don't know what's wrong with me, even though I'm the only one who's seen the film. So, yes. Okay.
Oh
We
my
will be
God.
back next week talking about that. Pieces, 1982. Ken, pimp your shit real quick.
Okie dokie. My name is Continue. It's KINTINUE. I'm live every day except for Saturdays on Twitch, and I start at 7 a.m. Eastern. I have a TikTok that's primarily dad jokes, but every now and then I throw in some workout stuff because I'm weird. I also have an Instagram that's under official Continue, and then pretty much anywhere else you're going to find me as Continue. And also, like I mentioned before, tweet at us. You can tweet at us individually. You can tweet at Murder Moose. Let us know which movies are like kind of hidden gems that you didn't know about or that you want people to know about. And then follow up, just because I'm curious, what is your favorite cult movie and why?
Ooh.
And
Yes.
it's not weird. It's just ADD, okay? It's not weird. We just have ADD.
Yes. We are super ADD. Yes, we have murdermoose.com, so you could go visit that. We have Rod_Johnson on Twitch and Twitter, so I'm all there, and I'm on Instagram with that, which is mostly gizmo things, but that's all there.
So that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And then joshwrb.com.
That's
And
what
that
I didn't do
is-
this because I've been busy. Making other posters.
Exactly. That was the making a poster noise. I don't know if you perverts are thinking other things, but
He's just talking about this movie.
Yeah. I had. Yeah.
okay, motherfuckers. Let's wrap up, and we'll be back next week for Pieces from 1982. So, Ken, welcome officially.
Yay!
Everybody, we will catch you next week, and we'll catch you. But we love you and
Bye!